Hello everyone, it's Ian here from the Big Scuba podcast and Gemma.
Hello.
Hello. I thought I'd just do a very quick recording as this is now the start to episode
15.
15. My goodness, how did we get 15 today? So what's coming up is Monty Halls. Should be, it is a really good episode. He's a really nice guy. I think you know you'll see that top family guy. So enjoy that. He's talking about Galapagos, his books, diving, some of his other trips that he's done, and it's absolutely really fascinating to listen to some of his stories. And also there's some stories from some of his friends that we've managed to get hold of, and it makes for a really good episode. So we really hope you enjoy that. Just before we go, just say a few shout outs and hellos. So hello to our lovely patrons who every month they dip into the pocket and really help us and really play a particularly essential part of making this podcast happen. We couldn't do that without you guys, and hello to you. Hello to the pheasant as well, that's just making the noise. You know, we are out in the sticks, we're out on the Waveney, we've been snorkeling, so we just thought we'd just do a quick hello. Also, hello to Andy Clark, Andy the Northern Diver. Hello to you. If you haven't looked up Andy the Northern Diver, look him up. He's on YouTube. Andy makes lots of videos about how to clear your mask, how to put your regs together, things like all those sort of things, all to do with scuba diving. Of videos that are about like 5-10 minutes, something like that. Really good videos.
Yeah, they are, and they work as well. Yeah.
He also does short interviews with certain celebrities and people in the diving world over a cup of tea, and it's called
Fancy a Brew.
Fancy a Brew. So Fancy a Brew, and I've done one, and it was actually quite painless as well. So it was really
You're a
good.
celebrity.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that, but anyway. Let's just say that it was good fun, and I'm glad I've done it, and I was happy to be a part of it, and I'm happy that we know Andy. So
yeah,
look him up, Andy the Northern Diver. Who else we've got to say hello to?
Patrons we've done.
I say hello to Blue O2, our new friends. Really proud and pleased that we've got our new friends who have come on board. Let's say they are the best in the UK, and I've been on Blue Melody, one of their boats, and that was an absolutely brilliant trip. Fantastic staff and crew. They can't do enough for you, and I think when I think back to my Red Sea trip that I did with Blue O2, even the captain helps you with your kit, brings you a cup of hot chocolate, stuff like that, and just absolutely brilliant company, and I'm really looking forward to doing stuff with Blue O2 as we build up the podcast, and you'll be seeing more stuff from them and us as we work together and build this up.
And there's a link on our website so that you can go straight to their website as
Look
well.
out for the ship on our website. Unless you're on the mobile, and that will be just their icon, but if you're using the laptop, then look out for the ship and click on that, and that'll take you straight through to Blue O2 and how to book your next trip. All right, so enough of me running on.
Let's talk to Monty.
Let's talk to Monty and hear what he's got to say. Enjoy, everyone. So let's talk about Galapagos. Let's talk about your latest series. What made you choose the Galapagos, and what was that all about? Why go there?
Well, I'm president of the Galapagos Conservation Trust, so I've always had a relationship with the Galapagos. It goes back 20 years or so, and I thought it was really important to tell the story of the communities out there, not just the animals, because every documentary you ever see about Galapagos got an iguana, blue-footed booby, a sea lion, a whale shark. It's all beautiful, but 30,000 people live out there, and I thought it was really important to talk about that thing between the people and the animals. I'd seen that dynamic a lot, like local people having to live in close proximity to these animals, and that relationship and all that stuff, and how important that relationship was. So it just seemed to really, and it was actually, I hasten to add, it wasn't my idea. It wasn't my idea. there's a guy called Martin Palethorpe who made all the Great Escapes series up on the west coast of Scotland. And we were chatting about that exact thing. We were chatting about, Galapagos is really interesting. And I was nattering to him about the relationship between the people and the animals. And he went, you should go out there and do a series out there, And so that sort of planted the seed, really. So it wasn't even my idea. It was Martin Palethorpe's. So,
but then how do you say to town, right, got this idea, going to go to Galapagos, and we're all going to go?
Strangely enough, I was probably more nervous about it than she was. And the reason is I know the islands. They're 600 miles off the coast of Ecuador. There's limited infrastructure there. If you have an issue, if you have like a medical issue, the best thing to do is get off the islands, basically. And we were going out there when we did the first series with a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old to live there for 3 months. And I was kind of like, I was a bit, am I prepared to put our kids in that situation? Whereas Tam was like, let's get out there, it'll be fine, And the thing we sort of reconciled ourselves with about it is 30,000 people live out there. They raise their children out there. There's schools, there's mini markets, so it's a very, very, very safe place for children.
Yeah.
But I was just aware it was remote. And if we had an issue, we're so lucky in this country. We don't realise, that as we both said it, me and Tam, when we came back from both the series, that we live in paradise. The UK is paradise, and we don't realise it. The level of support and infrastructure and stability we have, and which obviously has been tested to the max over the last 3 months or so. But we're really lucky to have what we have.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Are you still involved with the Galapagos Conservation Trust?
Absolutely. Yeah. I did a webinar for them recently, and we raised a reasonable sum. And like all conservation groups and charities, they're going through a horrendous time at the moment.
Yeah.
But hopefully, interestingly, obviously the charities are really suffering at the moment, but so are the people of the Galapagos. They rely on tourism to such a huge degree. And as we all know, we've all experienced it in various shapes and forms. Their income has been cut off like that. And again, it's a good thing in terms of the environment. It means that the environment's got a bit of a chance to recover, but we shouldn't underestimate the significance of losing that tourist infrastructure, because if people can't make money from tourism, they will seek ways to make money within the islands using other means. And illegal fishing out there is already a significant issue and all that. So interesting. It's not as simple as, it's great, we're not visiting these places anymore so the environment can recover. So many people rely on tourism. To all the dive guides we all work with, they all rely on tourism to make a living. And if the tourists stop turning up and the divers stop turning up, they'll become fishermen, and they'll look to, try and generate income in other ways, because you got to feed your family,
Yes, you have to.
So, Galapagos in particular is having a hard time at the moment.
Yeah. Have you noticed a difference between sort of going there quite early in the sort of 2000 and something to obviously going back now? Has there been quite a radical difference?
Huge difference. When I first went in, I think I first went in 2001, Puerto Ayora, the main town, was 2,000 people. Now it's 18,000 people. When I first visited, there were, I think, about 20,000 tourists a year, maybe more. But now there's 300,000 tourists a year. So it's just a huge influx of people coming in. But I would never say to anyone, don't visit the Galapagos. But I'd say do your best to travel responsibly. Try and find an operator who is working with conservation groups, works in a sustainable way, and loads of them do. But whenever you get a place that has a kind of gold rush mentality, that you get opportunists coming in who may not operate with the health of the ecosystem of the islands to the forefront of their minds, whereas a lot of people do. The guide I work with, called Pablo Valadres, who today is leaving Guayaquil, the main one of the main towns in Ecuador, having been in a 1-bedroom flat for 63 days. He was just passing through on the way back to the islands and lockdown happened. and he's been there with his wife and his son for 63 days. You know, Pablo is one of the best, if not the best guide I've ever worked with in terms of his knowledge, his passion, you know, his ability to communicate and all that. So, you know, they're really important people, these. And so there are ways you can travel to the islands in a sustainable way, in an environmentally friendly way, but just find the right operators. That's what I'd say.
Yeah. So have you got a sort of outstanding, memorable moment from your trips to the Galapagos?
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't want to sound like a stuck record. I got really lucky, an amazing encounter with a whale shark in Wolf and Darwin. You know, I've had an incredible encounter at Gordon Rocks, which is a little dive off Santa Cruz, where I saw a shoal of cow-nosed rays. Maybe it must have been unimaginable numbers of them. And they went right over the top of us, all around us. That was years and years. That was 20 years ago. But the number one thing is I took Isla in. She was 5 for her first snorkel. And as we stepped in off the beach, a big old green turtle came up and had a look at us. And we swam around with that green turtle for ages. That was snorkel number 1 for Isla. And it all caught on camera. And yeah, so that's probably the best memory from the islands for me, really.
That's quite apt because it's Turtle Day today, isn't it?
Yes. Oh, is it? I know. You see, I should know that. How embarrassing. Yes. Yes, of course it is. Yeah.
That's nice. We've been talking to Reef World and the Greenfins initiative. So how do you think some of these tourist agencies can improve things? You know, so can they incorporate in their itineraries as a dive boat, like a day or a morning beach, picking up plastic waste off beaches and things like that? Do you think something like that would help?
What I would say is, and again, this is from experience of guiding tours and leading groups of tourists to various places, that people are very, very receptive to that now. And one of the most vivid memories for me is we went to Svalbard. I was guest lecturer on a trip around Svalbard. Well, what a place that is, blimey. And the people on board that vessel were paying a lot of money to be on that trip. You know, it was a proper swept up top end trip. And there was a whole day dedicated to picking up litter on one of the beaches. And there were 150 people on the vessel. And every single one of them went ashore that day and did the massive beach clean. And these were people who were, you know, a fairly mature group, and a lot of them very successful. It was a bucket list trip, and a lot of the excursions that we did, fair few people didn't come because it was cold, and you know, you'd do 3 excursions a day. Most people did a couple of them, then got a bit cold and were like, do I want to see another puffin? No, I'm all right. I'm going to stay here and eat muffins and have cappuccinos, me included, by the way. But on that day, every single person got off the vessel and cleaned the beach. And there was a better feeling on that vessel at the end of that day than any other day that we did the thing. There's a huge appetite for it now. So I think that, but it's not enough to just do a beach clean. You know, in Galapagos, they've got this great thing of a database of tourist photos. So if you see a dolphin or if you see a sea lion, they've got a quick response team that if you see an animal in distress, you immediately text the photo to the quick response team and they will come out. You know, what tourists are, and divers in particular, I think, are they're your team in the field. They're always in the field. And everyone's got a camera now. Everyone's got the ability to, you know, transmit stuff. So, and Galapagos have really jumped on that. They've been really proactive with that. There's a shark app, basically, that when you do a dive and you see a shark, which is almost every single dive in Galapagos, you surface and say, okay, what were they? They were Galapagos sharks, silky sharks, hammerhead sharks. How many did we see? Oh, about 50. Where are we? We're in blah, blah, blah. And then you put it all in, it all goes into a central database. So the tourists are gathering data for the scientific and conservation community in Galapagos. What a brilliant, brilliant concept. So, yeah, you know, I think people need more than the beach clean.
Well, then what do you think to that?
That was amazing, wasn't it?
Yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. Really good episode, and you know, he's a really nice guy, as you saw. So That was thank you very much to Monty to giving us the time and to let us do that. So that was really good. Anything else to add?
No, it's just we'll put all the links in the usual places so that you can go to Monty Halls, you can go to the Galapagos places as well, and see a bit more information. So,
And there's a bit more about the Galapagos coming up in the next few weeks, so there'll be more details about that coming, but there's something we're working on, so little heads up. Alrighty.
Yep, I think that's it, and then more exciting guests in the pipeline.
There certainly is. And that'll be goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me, and goodbye from
The mud monster. That's Scuba Honey. See you later.
Bye everybody.